Welcome to the second chapter of our project management. This chapter here we are going to get acquainted with the terminology mainly and some fundamental concepts which are supporting to project management. Let's start. First term that we are going to understand is the project goals. Goals are our destinies and the entire process of developing the project is our journey. So goal in chapter 1 we have understood the goal has to be smart. So all those things we have to keep in mind when we define the goal. Here we are talking about specific goal like scope goal, cost goal, time goal, because everything required to be well defined before we proceed, right? Scope goal is talking about the entire boundaries of the projects. Well, we have to ensure that those scopes are covered in our projects, and when we go sit for closure at the end, we ensure that everything as per the decided plan is being executed. Okay, then the cost goal is of course the budgetary, right from the budgetary to the continuous cash flow, and finally when it comes to balance sheet, that we are to ensure the goal is met or not. Time, every project required to be time bound, so that timeline is also very important. Maybe big project 1 year, 2 years, income complex project, and for small project maybe in months, right? So these are major goals that we need to set initially before we begin. Then there are further classification of goals like tactical goals and strategic goals. When you talk about any project in business context, tactical goals are small term goals like day-to-day type. Means we are carrying the projects and we are having some tasks, and whether we are meeting the tasks, we are fulfilling the requirements, budget, timing, stakeholders, all those are day-to-day things what we are tackling. That is a tactical. When is strategic means first of all that project which we are going to implement or going to develop, whether will be giving my business some value or some return on investment. That is a strategic planning, or that is a strategic goal we can say. Okay, and whether this investment is in right direction, is it really going to give me very good return, and my customers will be more satisfied, or customer business profit, all those basic aspect of the business are going to enhance by this project. That is what is the idea of project. So there are two types of projects. One is very much aligned with the business goals and outcomes, okay. Whereas others it's expressed through technological drives. We are enhancing our business or our activities in terms of technology, in terms of product or solution orientation. So what expectation we have, those are the goals we are developing. Is only not the business but the supporting activities that we are looking at. Now next term we are going to acquainted with the project stakeholders. Stakeholders are the people which are directly, indirectly involved or associated with the projects, or which are getting benefited or get hampered or get influenced, get affected due to this project. Those are the stakeholders by definition. So there are various factors. First of all, identifying the stakeholders, that is first thing. What their expectations, what effect they may have, or they do something due to this project. Like some projects are like dam, some people lose their lands, so this is the effect which we have to take care, government has to take care. So what is the impact of, so they are the stakeholders which are getting affected due to their lands, they are losing their lands. The impact of these, and then we have to pose the risk factor. See, many times there is a hesitation due to this land problem, and then because of that the project get held up. So that is the risk associated with that. So this is also we have to assess what are the risks associated because of these stakeholders. What can be done to reduce the impact? So how we can sort out initially itself, we keep in mind what sort of risk are associated, so we can take preventive actions. So these are the aspects which are related to stakeholders. Of course, we are going to see this in detail in further chapters. These are the few names which we can list out as stakeholders, like sponsors, project manager, project team, support staff, customers, users, suppliers. These all people will be associated in the project, so they all are stakeholders that you must understand, which are directly or indirectly involved. Next term is project risk. Project risk is uncertainty, because when you are planning something, it never happens exactly the way we are planned. There is always uncertainty. And because of that uncertainty, how my project is going to affect it, positively or negatively, that we have to estimate. Okay, that is what in terms of project progress, in terms of progress, project outcome, all this we have to understand when we talk about project risk. So uncertainty, the main term is uncertainty and risk. The random chances that something will happen with no way to control whatever happens. So certain things are probabilistic, which we cannot predict. It may happen at any point of time, which are out of our control. So that is uncertainty. And the uncertainty of event can lead to some sort of impact of it, which are risk. Okay, in terms of money wise, in terms of human being wise, in terms of time, all those factors may get affected, and these are risk factors. Okay, so that is what estimation is called project risk. Right here we are just getting acquainted with the terminology. That's it. Risk management, there itself is a chapter on risk management separately, but these are some pointers that you should understand in this unit. So you have to understand identifying the risk, assessing the and analyzing the likelihood of the impact. Okay, trying to reduce the uncertainty, how we can take care preventively, trying to lessen the impact of the risk. The risk is there obviously, but how we can minimize the impact, that is what we can take care. Developing the contingency plan. Okay, so if it happens, what way we can have some plan B, plan C, so that we can have lesser impact. Then most importantly, we have to monitor the risk and the impact of the risk during the project progress. Okay, so these are all some pointers when we are managing the risk. So there are some processes in the risk management. Everything will be elaborated much in detail in the few chapter down the line, which is exclusively for risk management. So it comes from planning. The processes which are involved in risk management is planning, how to approach and conduct risk management activities, risk identification, qualitative analysis, and assessing the likelihood, probability, that is a possible outcome. The analysis, basically it is a part of analysis and estimations, how the risk, chances of risk are there, and how much impact that risk can cause to the project. So these are all basically the process what we concern during the risk management objective. One more terminology is the project resources. Again, there is a unit for this in our studies that talks about entire detail about project resources. So any project, what are the major resources? There are 5 major resources: manpower, money, machinery, material, and then methodology also, sometimes resources. Okay, so these are all resources, how you are planning it, how you are managing it so that my project goes smoothly. Because of certain resources, sometimes the project get held up. If the material is not available, people are not available, that may cause complete stoppage of project or maybe slow down of project, and our project timeline will be get hampered, and that is where we have to take care. So that is the terminology. You have to understand project resource management or resources that you have to identify, and you have to ensure well in advance that resources are in place. Project cost. Now project cost, as we saw as initial first slide itself, the project cost is one of the goal that we have to ensure. So it is a sum of all costs which are associated with each of the tasks. So project itself is a multi phase activity. There are multiple activities which are associated in one project. So every project task will cost you something. So we have to have proper breakup, and we have to see that all heads, which are, we can say, project heads, sub heads, which are taking the cost, we are ensuring that not exceeding what is estimated. Okay, like salary is one of the head under which all manpower, maybe freelancers, maybe onboard people, all those salary components, that is one of the cost. Then material cost, machinery cost, overheads, electricity consumption, all these things will be have to think. That is all comes under project cost. Okay, even telephone cost for that purpose. Project planning is another terminology. Again, I'm telling you there is a unit exclusively on project planning. So there we'll see all these pointers very much in detail. What is the project purpose and goal? Before planning, everyone should be very clear about purpose and goal of the project. Then we'll sit for the calendar. With the calendar, the scheduling, time frame we have to work out. Then product to be delivered, what exactly the outcome of the project and what we have to deliver with the end of the day or end of the schedule, that we have to ensure. Work breakdown structure is one of the important process in the project planning that we'll have to understand. Individual tasks which need to be assigned. Once the project being broken down into the different elements of it, then we have to define the task and then individual associated with it. Risk associated with it, again, is a part of the partial of that project planning. Then during planning we have to ensure the dependency of each task, so that how they are interlinked. So sequencing of the task is very vital. Otherwise there will be stuck up in particular process and may cause lot of delay if the project is not properly planned. Process needed to standard required for ensuring good quality of delivery. So all these elements are the material resource planning, as we said already. So if ensuring that the people, material as well as the machinery are ready in position so that my project will go smoothly. Okay, so these are all things will come under project planning. Now project execution. So planning itself is a part of execution, is the beginning of the execution rather, and then rest of the pointers are there. Okay, the key terms, we are just right in this unit, we are just understand the terms: project plan, schedule, work product, design and drawing, work instruction, tools and other equipment, materials and other resources, tasks. Once you make a work breakdown structure, you have to define the task and associated people, associated machinery for that task, achieve the work product, people assignment to the task, production and productivity, absenteeism, breakdown. These are all risk elements that we have to take into consideration in the planning and execution. Inspection, the quality control, all those things, motivating the people so that people remain on the work. So all those things will come under project execution, which is a continuous process. It is a journey. Project tracking, review and oversight. See, ultimately we have to, when we are plan and executing the project, we have to keep tracking the project whether it is in as per the plan or not. So that is what is the project tracking or planning. It is a part and parcel of the planning and execution. Continuous part of tracking. So tracking needs to be done very frequently, regularly, so that my project cycle is going in line with the plan. Okay, ongoing process. It is continuous ongoing process. Review. Usually we have to review, because every intermediate state we have to ensure that we are on the right track and our objectives are met. We are producing the right output and outcome as per the expectation. So that milestones are met. That is we have to ensure. And we have to take oversight, monitoring, overview sort of thing. The project status, whether we and the requirements, whether we are meeting all these things, that we have to ensure before project execution is going on. When we are forecasting it is in time or not, it is lagging somewhere, that we have to ensure by taking oversight of it, right? So this is all what we are going to cover in this unit. It is just an introductory in this particular unit, but all those topics are going to be elaborated in depth in the next consecutive chapters. The chapter title itself is one terminology used in this unit. Thank you very much.